wearing the same blue uniform. One is respected, the other is suspected. The morning sun had barely risen as Marceline Drake drove her old car down a quiet suburban road, the kind of place where every glance feels like a quiet inspection. It was supposed to be an ordinary day, but for her, ordinary was a privilege. Flashes of red and blue suddenly lit up behind her. A short siren wail. Officer Clint, a young white cop, walked up with that familiar stride, confident, entitled Unbothered. License and registration. His eyes scanned the car's interior before landing on her face. This car doesn't really look like yours. Where are you headed? Marceline replied softly. Work. He raised an eyebrow. What kind of work? Police. A beat of silence, then a short, incredulous laugh. Police, huh? Where at? She didn't answer, just met his gaze, calm and unflinching. He didn't realize it yet, but he was questioning the chief of police herself. In that quiet moment, the paradox revealed itself. Justice, doubted by the very system sworn to uphold it. Officer Clint's hand hovered near his radio. Dispatch, I need backup, possible suspicious vehicle. Within minutes, another patrol car pulled up. Officer Jenkins stepped out, older, rough around the edges, the kind of man who thought authority meant never being questioned. His tone carried no doubt, only command. Step out of the car. Marceline's voice was calm. Do you have a warrant? Jenkins smirked. Don't need one. Cars like this give us enough reason. His words hit harder than any shout. Around them, whispers began to ripple through the growing crowd. A phone camera rose, another followed. Someone muttered, "She looks more like a suspect than a cop." The tension thickened, quiet, electric, impossible to ignore. Clint avoided eye contact, shifting uneasily, but said nothing. Jenkins leaned in closer, eyes full of certainty, unaware that every move was being recorded. Marceline stood firm, still silent, her calm defiance slicing through the noise. In that moment, the line between protector and persecuted blurred, and the crowd watched justice twist on itself. Clint's voice cracked through the tension. Step out of the vehicle, ma'am. Marceline opened the door slowly, her movements calm but deliberate. The camera phones around her stayed locked on. For a second, her lips parted, a flicker of impulse to reveal who she really was, but she stopped herself. Not yet. A young female officer, Rivera, approached from the side, her tone unsure. She's cooperating, sir. Maybe that's enough. Jenkins shot her a glare sharp enough to cut glass. You don't tell me how to handle a stop, rookie. His voice carried the weight of practiced authority, the kind that silences others before they think to speak. The silence that followed wasn't empty. It was heavy, pulsing. Rivera shifted uncomfortably. Clint avoided eye contact. Then, Marceline spoke, her voice even but firm. Respect shouldn't come with a color requirement. Rivera froze. The words hung there, trembling between defiance and truth. Something in her eyes shifted, doubt replacing obedience. The air felt charged, like the world itself was holding its breath, waiting to see which would break first, Marceline's restraint or their conscience. The video had already hit social media. By the time backup arrived, a small crowd had gathered. Phones up, voices murmuring, judgment thick in the air. Lieutenant Harris stepped out of his cruiser, his posture radiating authority and impatience. Let's wrap this up before it turns into a scene, he muttered to Clint and Jenkins. Marceline stood still beside her car, her calmness unsettling in the chaos. Her eyes met Harris's, steady, unreadable. Are you sure that's what you want to do? She asked softly, the words landing like a quiet challenge. Something in her tone made him pause. The street noise seemed to fade. Harris blinked, suddenly aware of the crowd, the recording phones, and the uneasy confidence in her stance. Clint shifted beside him, whispering, Sir, she's been difficult. But Harris couldn't shake the feeling that they were the ones on thin ice. There was something about her, too composed, too certain. The question lingered, unsettling and electric. Are you sure? It wasn't defiance. It was warning, one he didn't yet understand. Marceline's hand moved slowly to her jacket pocket. The tension thickened as every eye followed the motion. She pulled out a slim leather wallet and flipped it open, her voice calm, clear, unshakable. Chief Marceline Drake, Internal Affairs Division. The world froze. Clint's smirk collapsed, his face draining of color. Jenkins took a step back, stammering, I didn't know. Marceline's gaze didn't waver. That's exactly the problem, she said evenly. You didn't need to know, you just needed to assume. A sharp gasp rippled through the crowd. Someone whispered, "She's a chief?" Phones zoomed in, the live stream spiking in views by the second. Harris's jaw tightened as realization hit. They hadn't just profiled a random black woman. They had humiliated their own superior. Marceline stood tall, her badge glinting under the morning light. The irony cut deep. The same authority they thought they held now mirrored back at them. And for the first time, silence didn't feel like control. It felt like reckoning. The sirens faded as a black SUV pulled up. From it stepped Chief Dalton, the department's top brass, his presence commanding, his expression tight. He approached Marceline slowly, his tone measured but laced with irritation. "This could have been handled differently," he said quietly. "You didn't have to make a scene." Marceline met his gaze, her voice calm but razor sharp. "I didn't have to, if they had done their jobs right." Dalton's jaw clenched. Around them, the murmurs of the crowd dimmed into a heavy silence. Officers stood still, caught between loyalty and truth. For a long moment, the two leaders faced each other. Authority against accountability, tradition against change. Dalton exhaled, a flicker of frustration crossing his face. "You know how this looks." Marceline's reply came steady, almost a whisper. "That's the point. Now everyone sees it." No one spoke after that. The tension wasn't loud. It didn't need to be. Power was shifting, not with force, but with quiet conviction. The conference room was silent, except for the faint hum of the projector. The video replayed on the wall, Jenkins's voice echoing through the speakers. "We don't need a warrant. With a car like this, we have enough reason." Marceline paused the clip. The frozen image of Jenkins stood behind her, his authority now turned into evidence. She turned to face the room. Every officer, every ranking official, sat in stillness, eyes fixed on her. Her tone was calm, deliberate. "This," she said, pointing to the screen, "is not a misunderstanding. This is the problem." No one dared to move. The weight of the truth hung heavy in the air, pressing against every badge in the room. Dalton lowered his gaze, his earlier defensiveness dissolving into quiet realization. "You're right," he murmured, almost to himself. Marceline let the silence linger, letting the truth settle deeper than any reprimand could. The message was clear. Justice wasn't just broken on the streets, it was fractured within their walls. Marceline stood at the front of the briefing room, her tone steady but charged with purpose. "Starting today," she said, "we launch Operation Mirror." The name alone drew murmurs. She continued, "It's a department-wide reform, undercover assessments, bias evaluations, accountability reports. No rank is exempt." Rivera sat in the second row, nervous but proud. Marceline's eyes found hers. Officer Rivera showed what integrity looks like, not silence, but courage. A ripple of quiet applause followed. Then her tone hardened. "Officers Jenkins and Clint are suspended pending review." No one was surprised, yet the room still tensed. It was the sound of a culture being forced to confront itself. She took a breath. "If we don't fix what's broken inside these walls, the people outside will stop believing in the badge we wear." The words echoed, not as a reprimand, but as a challenge, a call for cleansing, for truth, for something better than the silence that once protected the wrong. Rivera knocked softly before stepping into Marceline's office. The room was quiet, the kind of silence that carries both exhaustion and peace. "I wanted to say thank you," Rivera began, her voice low. "I stayed quiet that day because I was afraid of losing my job." Marceline looked up from her desk, her expression gentle but knowing. "I understand," she said. "I used to be you, but silence, that's how injustice stays alive." Rivera's eyes glistened. "I don't want to be afraid anymore." Marceline stood, walking over slowly. She reached out, placing a hand over Rivera's. "Then don't be. Change doesn't start with permission. It starts with courage." For a moment, words weren't needed. The two women, one hardened by years, the other just finding her voice, shared something stronger than rank or uniform. It was a passing of strength, quiet but powerful. A promise that the next generation wouldn't fight the same battles alone. The press room was filled with the low murmur of anticipation. Cameras clicked,